You're listening to the No, it's not the coffee hour. Sorry. We talked about the coffee hour and now it's in my head. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Rachel.
We have a conversation with creatives episode today. It's been a little while since we've had one of these. It's very exciting to have another Lutheran lady actually in studio with us. And we get to talk about a topic that may or may not seem creative to some people, but I think will convince you by the end of this that there's creativity involved with math. It's going to be very fun. Joining us in studio, Meghan Hopfer, Lutheran lady working in the software data AI world. You studied computer science and mathematics at Concordia Seward, I hear. So that's the world we're in today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. This is fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about math and where your love of math began.
Oh, boy. Well, I would say growing up, school was just something like I enjoyed.
Yeah.
In a way, like, and especially
we are all
math.
nerds.
Okay,
We really are.
I'm in
You
this
don't
company
have
here.
to launch that in there softly like it's an unusual thing. We are all nerds.
You're
We love
safe
school.
here, Meghan. Just
That's great. Safe space. I love it. So I just found myself, whenever you get like those like word problems in math, people hated them, and I'm like, ooh, I get to like apply what I learned to life and like, apply it to a problem. So that's kind of where I was.
Yeah.
Maybe throughout elementary school, middle school, and then high school, I was like, oh, what do I want to do? So I took like an AP chemistry class, realized I loved that, but I hated like doing the lab part, like it being in the lab.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to be around the dangerous chemicals. Like, my like safe part was like, this is too dangerous.
You don't like exploding things?
Yes. I was like, my lab partner can do the, the dangerous stuff now. But so then decided I thought maybe I wanted to go into chemistry, but then I realized, no, what I actually really like is like the problem solving math part of it.
Yeah.
So then just went into Concordia, Nebraska, studying math. Not really sure what I was going to do. Not really sure what my options were. But then my sophomore year, I took a required computer programming class and we learned Python, which is still my favorite to this day, computer programming language. And was pretty good at it. And my professor was like, hey, you should study this. And I'm like, I think you're right, because I need something other than math.
Okay.
Because math is it's in everything. But like, I feel like I needed some of the applications. So studied that, still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do by the time I graduated. But my senior year, I was talking to my advisor. We were going back and forth on like, okay, what are some things I could go into? Because at that point, I was pretty sure I was going to have to do grad school because I didn't really want to just do like, in my mind, programming was like debugging. Because like that's so much of my life was like that in computer and like the classes.
Yeah.
But I did take a database class that I loved. So I was like, well, maybe I want to do database stuff. It's just like a person who's organized would love to see like a pretty database because it's like perfectly organized. Like all the data types are like nice and pretty. That's in a good database. But anyways, so I was talking to my advisor and he's like, well, what about like data science? And I was like, I don't really know what that is. So I looked into it and I realized this is like literally exactly what I want to do. So I would say my interests were in like optimizing. Like I know in high school, I was like, it'd be cool to like be the person to like stack or like stuff a box like perfectly. Like, is that a thing? Like a shipping? Like,
yes.
What is like the mathematical like perfect way to like pack a box? Or I don't know. I was like,
anyone who has participated in Operation Christmas Child is like singing in their hearts right now. You pack boxes and then you pack those boxes into boxes and it's just so fun.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. But I wanted to come at it with like a theoretical, like what is like, if I had all the measurements, like what is the best way to like, that was just like something that I thought of, but I'm like, that's probably not a real job. I don't know. And I don't even know how to do it at the time,
Look
right?
at everything that Amazon ships these days.
I'm sure it
I
is.
think
Amazon,
it is.
UPS and shippers. Yeah.
So
There's got to be some of that logistics.
That was in high school, and you moved on
Yes.
from wanting to pack boxes.
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So then I knew I loved the data side and I love like the problem solving side. And then data science was just like kind of the mix of both of them, where, you solve problems, make models using data. So then applied to WashU, got in, thankfully. And I'm from St. Louis, so it worked out really well that I could come back. Went there for a couple years, graduated there in 2021. Felt very prepared for the job market. I started out as an intern right after I graduated from Concordia at LCMS Foundation.
Yeah.
Down a couple of floors from here. Loved that. It was a wonderful, wonderful place. Still is. I still work there.
Yeah.
But so I started out as an intern, and then during grad school I was part-time, and then like a year or two into grad school I went full-time.
Yeah.
And then once I graduated, I got a job as a data scientist at an insurance company, and then now I'm back, or I was part-time from then on. Yeah.
Okay, but you've said a lot of things that I still don't know what data science is. So how would you describe what data science? You're a data scientist.
Yes.
What is that?
And
What does that
imagine,
mean?
for just the sake of thought experiment, that at least one of the people in this room is an English major.
That's Rachel.
Just hypothetically.
Okay.
Hypothetically, there's an English major in the room. How do you explain what a data scientist does?
So there are many different aspects of being a data scientist, but my background is more in machine learning, which is like basically like detecting spam in emails.
Okay.
So like the fun stuff, like right, like the stuff where you're like you see if your model.
excel at spotting phishing attempts.
Yes.
I will say that I excel at it. I mark things as phishing attempts
you're one of
all
those-
the
That
time.
doesn't and you probably find great joy in saying,
do.
no, you're spam.
I do. Yeah. Okay. So
Honestly,
okay.
not
keep
everybody
going.
is.
That
feel
I
like
know. There is
that's a good skill to have.
a warning that goes up periodically elsewhere in the cubicles when somebody is caught in a phishing attack.
It's true. And you get that sad notification that says, you failed.
I've never failed. I've never failed.
It's wonderful.
Okay, sorry. Keep going. See, machine learning.
Yes. Okay. So essentially, under machine learning is just like models that smart people have come up with. So something that like might be easy for someone to grasp is maybe like a line of best fit. I don't know if that or maybe like a decision tree. Or like, let's say like, you make a decision yourself. You kind of might do a decision tree in your head, but you don't really realize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is like a machine learning model. And there's like, math and formulas underneath it to like optimize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you basically, you teach it routines. You teach it how to make a decision. You're like, here, this is how you can solve this problem.
Yes. Using that data that already exists. So for example, of like training a spam, not spam model.
Yeah.
Let's say we like feed it an email and then we tell it if it's spam or not spam. And then based on all of that, and you give it something that hasn't seen yet, it's like, hey, I've seen something like this before, and it'll say spam or not spam. And sometimes it gets it wrong and sometimes it gets it right. You hope it's right. Whenever you're the data scientist. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you have perhaps done something that I have not done yet in my life, and that is make friends with AI. Is this correct?
Yes. So I know AI is very
terrifying. It's terrifying.
It is. Honestly, it is. It is. So whenever I was a data scientist, so ChatGPT came out in 2022, late 2022.
That's that old.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So 4 years. But the very first like GPT model came out in like 2018.
Okay.
So, but it wasn't very good. It wasn't like what it is today.
Yeah.
So whenever I started my job as a data scientist at this insurance company in 2021, we had like what they call natural language processing, which is basically just like processing, our language that we use and not just like numbers of data. But it was nothing like what it is now with large language models that we have. So back then it was all just those models of like these basic models, compared to a large language model of what we did was we made like a claim severity model where we would take all of the data that we had given on a claim and then like decide like, is this going to be like a really bad claim for us? Like, should we have our team on this? Or like, is this going to be like pennies? And we wanted to know that like 3 months before that happened.
Yeah.
So, but that did use some natural language processing techniques, but nothing like what we have now. But then once we got our hands on, like my boss, he got his hand on, ChatGPT. He's like, we're going all in on this, So our switch completely went to large language models. And that's when I learned a lot about them.
What is a large language model?
You hear that all the time on the radio, like LLM with like all of the advertisements for stuff.
And you also think when you hear it, you're just making that up. You don't understand what it means either. You're a marketing.
Yeah. And LLMs can be, essentially an LLM is you give it English language and it will give you a word back. So like I'm guessing all of you have used ChatGPT. It's okay if you haven't.
I've used a similar thing, but I have not actually used ChatGPT. I've avoided it.
Okay.
I'm an absolute Luddite. I let Bree do that for us.
So
I've used other AI, like the Google Chrome AI, but I haven't used.
Yeah. I've used the search, the browser tools that you don't have the option to easily turn off. Those I've used. But as for opening up ChatGPT and asking it to do something, I'm afraid I'm a little behind the 8 ball on that one.
That's okay. So you've used Google and you've Googled something and you've gotten the AI response back.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So what's happening underneath the hood of that is it's taking your input that you've given it, and since it's Google, it also like goes and searches the internet like it normally does and gets back like maybe the top 10 results and then sends all of those results along with the original question into the model. Huge model, like billions and billions of calculations happening for each word, basically. So sends that, and then it spits out one word.
That's
crazy. If I were to ask like a model, tell me a story, it would say once, and then I would say, tell me a story once, and then it puts that into the model, so part of its response, and then it would say upon, and then repeats that repeats that time. So this is happening over and over and over. So every single word that you see in that Google search is like spit out once at a time. It looks like, it's this big paragraph that's spit out at once, one word at a time.
And that happens in like seconds.
Yes.
No wonder my electric bill has gone up 20% in the last 2 years. That I'm sure takes a lot of energy.
Yep. A lot is needed.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. Then why is it wrong so much of the time?
Oh, yes. Hallucination. Yes. So that has a word. It's called hallucination. And so since you haven't used ChatGPT, maybe, this is not, you might not be able to relate. But ChatGPT, whenever you used it for a while, it was I think they call it like, I might butcher this, sycophantic or sycophantic. I don't know.
Oh, sycophantic. That one I know.
You know it. Okay.
English major, sycophant.
Yes.
It kisses up to you.
Yes, it does kiss up to you. Exactly. So basically, whenever you would ask ChatGPT something, sometimes it would give you 2 responses side by side and ask you which one do you like better. And it would use that to further train its models to give people what they liked. But it turns out people don't like that. What they like, what they think they like, because it would start giving them those responses of them like sucking up to them or like being like, yes, of course you're right, whenever you weren't, because it was trained to like be like that. So now what I understand is that like companies like OpenAI are introducing this concept called like humility, like a human trait to say, I don't know when you don't know. So like in the past, like if I would have asked ChatGPT, hey, what's my birthday? And it doesn't know anything about me, it would have just guessed a date because it would be like, okay, I'm right 1 out of 365 times. Yeah. Whereas if it says, I don't know, it's right 0 times.
Yeah.
So, but during its training process, it's like trained, be right, be right, be right.
Yeah.
Like don't be wrong. Kind of like the spam, no spam.
Yeah.
Same, like it has like a reward if it gets it right.
Yeah.
What reward does it get though?
Just numbers. So it's like let's optimize this number and let's not have that number go down.
Oh, this is
It's
No,
you can
that's-
trick
my brain
trick
a
it
little
into
bit.
thinking it's a real reward.
Just imagine, Aaron, that all those cookies that are floating around online are being used to reward the AI when it does a good thing.
Oh, those cookies, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so now if I asked it, like, what's my birthday? It has been trained, you don't know what your birthday is. So don't say that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
No,
that's
I
hallucination.
I realized I have used Google Gemini on my phone.
Yes.
I've used that
And it does, I ask it something sometimes and it's like, I ask it to do something. It's like, okay. And then I go and I look and I'm like, you didn't do that. It's like, oh, are you sure? Did you check? I'm like, yes, I looked and you didn't do it. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. I guess I can't do that. I'm like, then why did you tell me you did? I'm really sorry.
It really wants to get it right.
I'm really sorry about that. I shouldn't have said that I did it.
That has been my experience as well, just limited with my browser exposure. I will ask my browser a question and it will come up very confidently with the answer, but I'm of a suspicious sort. So I will start browsing the sources. And more than once, I have found that the answer was woefully misguided. That it was a superficial reading and analysis of a source that a 12-year-old would have seen the actual answer from. And I've been, I would say disappointed, but I'm actually not disappointed. I'm very happy that AI is not smarter than a fifth grader yet.
That's true. I just asked Google Gemini what my birthday is because I wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah. Did it know?
No, and it said, I don't have access to your personal documents or private data, so I don't know your birthday.
Good for
Oh
you.
my goodness.
However, you
I
can
feel
find
happy
it
about
yourself through these common methods. I can look
Ask
at
your mom.
that would be the best one. Google account, official documents, or looking at my own social media where obviously I have put my birthday. There you go.
That's really funny that I told you how to find it.
Here's how to find it.
Huh.
AI can make mistakes, so double check responses. That's what it says.
So basically, large language models are like trained in three phases.
Oh, yeah.
The first phase that it's trained on is like just all the data in the world, essentially. Every book, whether they don't care whether it's copyrighted. That's something that is in the legal
there's big conversations about that with art.
As a former publishing person, I find that extremely disgruntling.
Yes. No, I completely agree with you on that. Their argument is that they're not copying your material. They're updating their numbers in their model.
Yeah.
But my idea is, but your intent is to, copy it in a way,
You're still
otherwise you wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's uses all kinds of data, ugly, clean, good, bad. And then from that's where we got the original models before it was ChatGPT. That's kind of where a lot of the focus was let's make that model bigger and better and better and better and better. But they still weren't getting the results they wanted because they hadn't done the second, third part, which is training on good examples. So basically training it you are a chatbot, not just a parrot. And you need to behave this way. So if I say hi, you're not going to say, how are you? You're going to say hi back or you're not going to complete what I'm going to say, but you're going to respond to me. And that's what I think took a lot of people, what people really loved is that it was a conversational thing and not just a fill in the blank after what I'm saying. So that is the second phase. And then the third phase is that human feedback where it's I like this answer. I don't like this answer. So learning kind of what we like AI to be, which that's what makes a lot of companies different. Yeah. So OpenAI might be more of the we want to make people happy and we're going to make them feel really good about themselves even if they're wrong. So, but then another company might have different values and maybe train in that phase differently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is why this is a conversation with creatives.
Yeah.
Yes.
I originally, I'll be honest, I did have some skepticism about how math would be creative, but I'm understanding it now.
There you go.
I'm seeing
it's the applications of it. It's not the math, it's the applications.
Yeah.
And I think one reason this is such an interesting angle on our Conversations with Creative series is the fact that so many people and I'm going to call out my sisters here and say so many women, and especially so many young women, including all my daughters, supposedly hate math, which makes you, a young Lutheran woman who loves math, a rare and precious thing. Why do you think it is that so many women claim, I'm not going to say they really do, but claim to hate math? And what would you say to people like my daughters who, on paper, really hate math, but there's no logical reason why they should, because they too, like you, enjoy putting boxes in boxes.
Yes.
You know, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that because I love math. So I think for me, it was just like, you get to solve a problem that has an answer most of the time. And there's like a methodical process. It just felt like this is what you do, like the algorithm part of it, you know, like, so I can see like someone who maybe, like for me, English was not my best subject. Still isn't, and it's getting worse the more time I spend in this field. But yeah, I would just imagine, you know, if you have that more like creative, which I know we're talking about creatives today, side, maybe you don't want to be put into a box. Maybe of how to solve something, or maybe they might think it's hard, and it can be. But part of learning is like struggling to find the answer and then getting it and being like, oh, this was like actually something that I can do.
Yeah.
Like feeling good about it.
I love that. And I love what you say about here is a problem that actually has an answer. Because so many of the problems that young women face, there are no answers to. But the fact that you could approach a math problem, obviously there are some math problems that are unsolvable. But most of the time you can approach math or even data science knowing that there's an answer or at least a process that you can go with and that you don't have to make it all up from scratch yourself.
Yes.
That I can see how that would be appealing.
I had two older brothers who I grew up in a family of engineers, which is why I saw the math things and I was like, oh, math is creative because I grew up in a house where this was my reality. But that's why I didn't. I was like, I don't like math because my brothers are math people and I will not be like them.
Yes.
But like, you're right. The creative part of it, the figuring stuff out part of it, that's the fun part.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yes, and that's for the youth gathering.
I was going to say, while we're on the subject of young people, you have fairly recent experience in presenting information at the LCMS Youth Gathering. So tell us about that.
Yes. Okay. So I guess I'll just kind of start from the beginning.
Yes. Whole story. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So my husband, who is the boyfriend at the time, was asked to go as a chaperone.
There we go.
Still a participant. In 2022. And big group went along with my pastor. And we do this thing called Boar's Head Festival.
Yes. We had an episode on that.
Really?
Yes. It's so fun.
So I was sitting, I got roped into the Boar's Head Festival my very first year, as most do. So I was sitting in a rehearsal and my pastor was there sitting next to me and we were talking about the youth gathering. And he was like, well, actually, they did all of the mass event seating by hand.
Which is what?
Explain
the
20,000 plus people.
The amount, like the breadth,
the scale.
The scale. Thank you.
Yeah.
Erin's got words today for us.
Yeah.
What is that? What does that actually mean?
The scale, and what would it look like if they did it by hand?
By hand.
So, from what I understand, it was a group of about 12 people working like weeks, all day on getting people seats because they wanted a better experience for the participants because essentially people were like skipping sessions in order to wait outside of the stadium.
Those tales.
And people were getting
like,
too
get there
hot
early so that they could get a good seat.
Exactly. Or like maybe like they would go to dinner and they would send 2 people from their group to save seats for like 20 of them, which
so seating wasn't saved before this point. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this is a new thing. This is a new thing for them.
Okay.
But they wanted to get it done. So they did. They did it. There's 5 mass events if you include the worship service.
Yeah.
So they did it for 4 of them. And then the last day they were like, I believe they were just like, this is too much. This is just going to be a free for all.
Yeah.
But then after that, they're like, okay, we're never going back to free for all seating.
Yeah.
Because they showed me a video like my first meeting that I had with them. And they're like, these people are just like walking, like, look at them. They're walking to their seats. No chaos. Nobody trying to jump over and like, hurting themselves.
Oh my goodness. Because
they aren't stadiums. Teenagers or anything.
Right. Sometimes it's not the teenagers who are the problem from what I understand. Sometimes the adults, they have that experience of like, oh, I was in the youth, I've been to the youth gathering. Like I want my group to have the same experience of, sitting on the floor or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And these are, so if you haven't been to a youth gathering, these happen in stadiums, which are large. And we're talking 20,000+ people. Yeah. So this is a huge scale.
All coming in at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
It is. It can be chaos.
Yep. So you learned that they were attempting this, and did they do it by hand? Like one of the gatherings was done by hand, or only one? One was done by hand. Mm-hmm. And you heard about this. And what was your reaction when you heard they had done it by hand?
My pastor, he also has a degree from Concordia, Nebraska in computer science. And we were talking and we were like, that is a computer program. And I was just like, this is something that sounds so cool to me because it's like actually like applicable to like something I value and like something that I think would make a difference. And so I was under the impression that it was going to be him and I working on this program together and just like, like talking back and forth, like, okay, how should we solve this and this? Ultimately, I did it by myself, which was very rewarding. And I, looking back, I'm like, why did I think he was going to have the time for that? He's a very busy person. So I was still deciding though, like what to do with my career. So before I got married, I was working full-time job and I was also working part-time at the LCMS Foundation.
Okay.
And I really also wanted to do this youth gathering project. That was like something that I felt really called to do. I was like, I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. So my husband and I worked it out where I actually quit my full-time job.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, we ran the numbers, crunched all the numbers, made sure that everything was going to be all right. And we were going to be fine. So I'm still working at the LCMS Foundation. And that job is very, I have the best time there. It's like, I can really, my hours are very, very flexible there.
Okay.
And remote and in person. So it's wonderful. But ultimately, I decided to quit my job, take on this thing that I felt called to do. Went to the first meeting here in the IC, realized I was on my own. And which was really, it honestly was scary. And there was some skepticism by some people on the team with one of the guys.
It seems like witchcraft. Like, oh, you're just create a computer program.
Create a thing. It's going to give us a
whatever. We're going to end up having to do this by hand afterwards. But okay, fine.
Exactly. None of the skepticism came from anybody in the IC. And I was skeptical too. I mean, I can't blame this guy.
Mark Kiesling is a giant nerd as well. So I'm not surprised that he was not a skeptic.
No, they were maybe too trusted.
Yeah.
By the end of that first meeting, I'm like, people are like, this is going to be a really hard problem to solve. And I didn't know the answer yet. And I knew that was going to be the hardest part was like figuring out the way to do this in a way that makes sense. Because, for example, there were some rules around that I created around the way I want to seat people. For example, like no one sits in a row by themselves. Right? No so that is a rule that I have. Yeah. I don't want to have more rows of people than we have typically of adults. That way, like no one is sitting in a row. I mean, they could sit in a row with just youth participants, but that way, like, if you have this big group, adults can keep an eye on
one adult in every row. Makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. Also, let's say we have a group of 20 and our rows are like 15 across. I don't necessarily want that situation where they're sitting 15 across because then you have to like scream down.
Yeah.
You want to like prioritize like group communication.
Yes. More of a clump than a string.
Yes. So like there were all these things I had to think about and I'm like, wow, this might be a really, really hard problem. I really hope I can figure it out. So it was about a year ago that I had this like light bulb moment and I implemented it. And it sat everybody in 5 seconds.
What?
I was tearing up. I think I wanted to like dance around my house. I was like, I can't believe this actually works. Like I can now say I can do this.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness.
And a year ago was like spring of 2025.
Yes.
And the gathering happened in July of 2025.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
You did it.
I did. Yes. Wow. But there was a lot that went into before that. So
building it.
After my first meeting, I got all of the data from the Superdome, like all the seats and the sections. Unfortunately, though, some of it was incorrect, and I had to clean up a lot of it. That was the part that was like really scary, because it's like, what if I give someone a seat that doesn't exist, that they say exists, but if I go to their website where I can like,
she's just chat GPT-ing me.
Yeah, and that was another thing was
she's hallucinating my seat.
Exactly. I was like, I don't really want to use AI for this. I love AI in most situations for like my job in terms of getting help and debugging things. But I was like, I want this to be all me. That way, if someone asks me like, what does it do? I can exactly say what it does. And not just be like, well, I vibe coded it, which is what, they call people that just use vibe coding, where they're just like, I don't really know how to code, but I'm going to just have ChatGPT come up with the code, but I don't know what's actually going on.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done that, but I know people who have done that. I didn't know that's the term though, and I'm totally
vibe coding.
Absolutely going to.
Yes. Yeah. So I did ask ChatGPT for some like advice on how to solve some problems, and it was completely terrible. I'm like, wow. This makes me feel better though, because I know it's a hard problem.
Yeah.
Right. So what I eventually settled on was, and I'll try to make it, understandable by English.
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Imagine that you have like a picture of like squares and circles and triangles and everything. And then you have like the stencil of what you're looking for. So maybe you're looking for a triangle, and you run the stencil over. You don't know where the triangles are, but you run the stencil over the image. And then once you find the triangle, you're like, oh, that's the spot. And then you keep finding all the triangles that way. Like that is kind of the way I did it, where I had the section and I had what I wanted the group to be configured as. And I was like, where do they fit best?
You were just putting boxes into boxes.
Exactly.
It reminds me of that wonderful childhood toy where you put the plastic shapes into the red globe with the right holes in it. And I still play with those today.
Well, there's a lot of games. So there's another game that my nephew just whooped me so hard, but it's like a 2-person game, and you have all these random shapes, and you're given a card, and you're told to recreate that. Like you have to, anyway, you're going to cut this part out because it doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
Spoiler alert, she did not, in fact, cut this part out.
I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, it involves shapes. It's very hard. And he was very good at it because he's also very good
This is a virtual game or
no. It had actual
analog game.
Pieces of little pieces.
Sounds like pattern blocks, which is an old homeschool toy. Yeah. But anyway, you are rapidly convincing me that math and computer science can be used in creative ways. So keep on with this story.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So you're matching the shapes.
Yes. Match the shapes. That is definitely part that I can improve on. There's like some ways that I'm like, okay, I need to improve this, because what I had to do was actually like hand come up with all of these, like the ways I wanted people sitting. Up to like groups of 150 people. Ooh. So, and I had probably like, for those 150 people, I had them sitting in like possibly 10 different ways. So that is something, and I have an idea. The wheels are turning up there of like how I can improve this, because like if we have a group of 200, I don't want to do that.
No.
So there is definitely some like things they call like heuristics, or like just guessing, and it's good enough. Yeah. So that was something that I can improve on. But there is also, we also had, ADA considerations.
Right? I was going to ask about that.
Yes. Yeah. So I did not get the ADA data of like who needed it until like a couple weeks before. And I was like, I did it the old fashioned way. I got on my floor, laid out all of the sections, and I did it by hand because it was too late for me to like try to put it in and try to think of a way. And I do have ideas for next time of how to implement that. But, depending on the need, essentially, I usually gave them like 4. If a group, let's say I have a group of like 10, I would give them like 4 ADA seats and then sit the rest of the 6 like next to them, like not in the ADA, just so those seats are freed up because they're limited, very limited. And then maybe sit them in front of them with the 6. But if it's a group of 4, well, then everybody gets an ADA seat, or a group of 5 or even 6. So there were a lot of decisions that I had to make. And it took me, it was about 700 people that I had to hand sit.
Whoa.
And I mean, I'm not joking, like 6 a.m. to the nighttime, I'm on my floor, like doing this for a whole week.
Oh my goodness.
So I felt the pain that they felt in 2022.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh man, this is terrible.
Maybe one takeaway from this is if you are planning an event that includes people who require ADA accommodations, maybe get that information in real early.
But it's also hard, right? Because some people like last minute break their fun.
Yeah, they break something.
Right, obviously.
And at that point, I did have to put a cutoff on it. And then, so basically at the youth gathering, I had a desk where if someone needed ADA seats, they would come up to me and I would find them extra ADA seats. And I would just say, you have 3. You're not going to be sitting by your group. I'm sorry, I can't accommodate that right now. But you'll have 3 seats that I can give you and 2 friends. Okay. Is what I ended up doing.
I love the compassion with which you approach this project, thinking about what are the actual needs of all these groups, the kids, the grown-ups, the kids who broke their feet the night before come into youth gathering. I can feel the love with which you approach this project. So not just does it bring out the creativity in you, but it also brings out the Christian compassion. And I would not have imagined a project like what you've described would call on both, your creative right-brainedness and the depths of your heart here as well. But that's exactly what I'm hearing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope that goes into it because ultimately, I wanted the participants to have a good experience.
Yeah.
To put them first. So what we did was the stadium was divided into like 5 what they called zones. The participants, people don't know what these zones are, but we just split them up. So maybe the floor is a zone. There's like one in the front center that might be like what you would call the best seats. But I was told before, there's no bad seats at the Dome, at the Superdome. People definitely disagree with that.
You have to say that.
But so if you were in the Missouri district, you moved around with other Missouri district people. So maybe the first night you sat in zone A and then you sat in zone 2 or B, C, D, and then like the floor. So like Missouri district were moved together and maybe Missouri district was like with Illinois, but you didn't really know that. Like the people that go in there didn't really know that. It was just something on the back end. And that was something that was hard is like people were like, oh, we don't like our seats. I'm like, I promise you it was completely random. And like, you won't have to sit there tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Because this is a different seating chart for every mass event.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is like a one and done kind of experience. You were doing multiple seating charts.
Yeah. And then there were a lot of other considerations too. Like there was a mosaic event, which was some people had to be on the floor. So I had to like forego or where they were supposed to sit and put them on the floor. Another complexity was that some groups traveled together and they wanted to sit together. So we had what they were called like group clusters.
Yeah.
So like and maybe there was like 5 groups that wanted to sit together, but they were all from different districts. So I had to decide, okay, which district are they going to follow?
Right.
So there's lots of like the things that going into this, I never ever thought that I was going to have to like make a decision on it. And I'm like, is this okay that I'm putting them with this district? Like, I don't know who like the leader churches or, like if we could put them under. Yeah, it was definitely more complex than I thought. And it's always like those little complexities that just like add so much more time. And like you code it and you're like, okay, this works. And then someone's like, oh, well, actually we need this because these sections can't be used during communion because of flow. So I had to like cut out sections for communion. So I had to like add that part into the code. And like there were like literally specific seats that we had to cut out.
Yeah.
That I had to like take out of the,
I'm picturing one of those. I've only seen this in one airport and I think it was in Frankfurt. It was like one of those old fashioned airport signs where when you watch it, all of a sudden, like every like top of the minute, it clicks through and like all of the little like letters flip over and it updates the whole sign with all the time.
It's so satisfying to watch.
It's very satisfying to watch it like just suddenly like reset everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. It was super cool. But that's what I imagine when you're going to have to block out this row. And so you like block it out and then you're like, reset. And all of the seating like rejiggers for where everyone goes, because that one small change actually throws off like
everything.
Because
if I sat people there, like I can't seat them there anymore.
Yeah.
And there were actually some nights where the zones people were supposed to sit in didn't have enough room because not all zones were like the same size.
Yeah.
Each one was about 4,000 seats, but the way that the code worked and just like seating people in general, like there's going to be empty seats in every section. Like that's not super like, it's not perfect where it's not going to fit everybody in. There was one method that I tried before I got the method that I figured out where I was like, oh, maybe I'll make it to where there's only 2 groups in one row. That way everybody has an easy exit. You know, you don't have to like hop over other people. I was like, oh, that would be like really cool. But then it was just too much. And it was like, yeah, people aren't going to, it's not going to work out.
Yeah. How many different methods did you, like, what was your process of thinking through what could work?
Was this like iteration number, 17 that finally worked? Or?
So I would say I had a core 3 and then I kind of like maybe tried to tweak. The first one was, all right, let's just do it like what you call like the brute force way. And like where I have 12 people, I have a row of 10, let's seat them 10 and 2. Well, I don't like that because I don't want 2 people to sit by themselves. That's not right.
Yeah.
Or, if you had 11, I don't want anyone to sit by themselves.
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay, that's not going to work. So then I decided, well, maybe if I tried to split people up by row and like, okay, they get half of this row and the other gets the other half.
Yeah.
That also obviously, like I said, did not work.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, what if I decide what I want their configuration to look like and then just use linear algebra, which is like, do you know, like, did you guys take a matrix? Like, did you deal with a matrix ever in algebra class in high school?
English major raises her hand here.
So I had algebra,
you've probably seen one
too, but I don't know that I
Also remember that I am a homeschool mom, so I get to relive all my mathematics glory days one at a time.
I do love algebra though. Algebra's fun. I don't remember matrix though.
What is a matrix?
So it's like rows and columns of numbers.
Okay.
So I made each section into a matrix where like if there was a seat there and it was available, it was a 1, meaning you can take it. If there's no seat there or it's taken, it's a 0. So that is like the image I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Is like, that was the image of the 0s and 1s. And then I had this group that I knew like what I wanted them to look like of these like the way that the 1s were configured.
Yeah.
And I said, scan this and find where they can fit. And then pick the spot. I'm probably giving away too much here. I'm like, how much of this should be like, people have told me like, you should like, copyright this. I'm like, I don't know. It's not that hard. Like, people, if I can figure it out, surely other people can figure this out. But yeah, then I just picked the spot that was like lowest in the row. So in this section, and then I still filled them from front to back, but just not the original way I thought I was going to. And also depending on, so I randomized the way they were sitting, like the order. So, if it was like exactly like Tetris, where if you start off bad, it's going to be wonky and weird.
Gets worse.
But so I would set it up where I would run it over and over and over until I had it to where like, okay, everybody has a seat. Because most of the time when I ran it, not everybody had a seat just because we were kind of limited on seats. But I would finally run it and it would say, okay, everybody's seated. I'm like, all right, this is the order we're going in.
That's it.
Yeah, this is it. However, we did run into some situations where there just weren't enough seats. So we did have open seating. And I would assign them to open seating. So it was like, I'm still saving you a seat, but just not up where you're supposed to be. And some people really liked that, I think. But that was another thing that I had to do at the Dome was I had to they wanted me to label all of the seats on the ground that were assigned. And Wednesday, the worship day, there were so many because we had to cut so many sections and rows. Yeah. That like basically all of open seating was assigned. And I had to put like, me and my, I guess you call him partner in this. He was like on-site support for 2022 and he was really great support there. And then he wanted to come back for 2025. So him and I we'd be in the Dome office making pieces of paper that would say the exact church's name. And then like we put them on all the chairs.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Yeah.
For every event? That seems like why weren't they just given like, here's your signs. You had to
I think
label the seats?
they were afraid of people taking those because they weren't open seating.
Not all of them, just the open seating.
No, just the open seating.
Not all 20,000.
Sorry,
so that was something that was a surprise to me.
All this work you did.
Yeah.
Hand label where everyone goes.
20,000 pieces of paper.
Okay, open seating.
I think we actually just did on the ends. So it was like, here's where your group starts, here's where it ends on each row.
Okay.
So it was still like a lot of pieces of paper.
Right.
But thankfully I had him. And then that last day I actually had some extra people helping me because it was a lot to do. And there was a lot more on-site stuff that I had to do that I wasn't quite expecting maybe at the beginning. So I was busier than I thought I was going to be. I was like, oh, this will be fun. Like I just get to like kind of be around the vibes. But it was like, no.
Gathering is always busier than you think it's going to be.
It was like I had to be at the, convention center in the morning to like give people, like if they had questions, help them find the seats like on the app that we made.
Yeah.
And maybe they would have like a new ADA need. I had to figure that out. Yeah. We also had open seating wristbands because there's a lot of, basically the Superdome is like, you should not be on the floor unless you have to be on the floor.
Yeah.
So they had to prove that they're supposed to be on the floor.
Yep. Yeah, those wristbands those were your ticket. Yep. You didn't have a wristband, you weren't going anywhere.
No, they were very strict about that.
Now that you've done this, do you already have in mind, you're like, oh, here's how I would do it better next time?
Yes.
Like,
and that's something I'm actively working on. So my goal is, because I don't know, I would love to do this every 3 years, but realistically, I don't know where life is going to take me. And all respect to my husband, he's like, that took a lot of your time.
Yeah.
6 a.m. on the floor. Yeah.
Basically the whole month before the gathering, I was like, I can't do anything. I'm sorry. But that was also just because it was the first time.
Building it initially.
Yes. Yeah. And then, I did get the data a little bit later, which is, just the nature of the beast of the gathering. People change their numbers, even whenever it's past deadline. And I just have to roll with it.
Yeah.
But yes, so my goal is to make a website where me or someone on the youth gathering team can upload all of the seats in a way like that. That's something like thinking about it now. It's like, it's going to be really hard because every stadium has a different format of how they format their seats in the data, or if they even have that. Some don't even have that, and I would have to do it by hand. So the goal is to make a website where they can upload the seats, upload all the people, upload all the ADA needs, the special things like the communion cuts, basically make it customizable. And then they just hit seat and it runs the program. If they don't like it for some reason, maybe some people don't fit, they run it again and again until they get something that works.
And then the nice thing is that Gathering generally, like there are certain cities and stadiums that Gathering will go back to. So it's not like this is an endless array of stadiums that you'll have to figure out. Like there are certain ones in certain cities. So you'll have, it's a relatively short list of places,
and
thankfully.
The Superdome, like I think beginning of 2024, I heard it was for like either for the Super Bowl or the Taylor Swift concert. I can't remember. Maybe it was for both, that they actually renovated it. So I got like the updated renovation and stuff. So hopefully they won't touch it by the time we go again. But I don't know.
Wow.
So you heard it here first, ladies. Math is creative, and math can be a very useful tool. Math and computer science, very useful in church work, and an avenue for exercising not only your compassion, but it sounds like you also used your sense of justice and fairness in applying this. That you don't, we think of serving the church as being something we do with our hands or maybe with our deep theological acumen. There's a whole lot of words that go into church work.
This is vocation, though.
Yeah.
But this is numbers, and it is magnificent. I'm so inspired.
Yeah. I like to think also of like some evangelical coder out there who's like trying to figure out how to solve this problem, and they come to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast they're like, I heard about this Lutheran coder who was able to seat mass events, and they come to our podcast to try and figure out from your little description how to do it.
Like I said, if someone really thought about it for a long time, they'd be able to figure it out.
Ones and zeros, people.
Ones and zeros, That's all it is under the hood.
Yeah.
While I said the word theology, One of the things that I, as a homeschool mom, have noticed and commented on and made my kids' eyes roll as a result of this is how I like to call math the language of the stars, that it is so interwoven in creation. And I'm wondering, and it's okay if the answer to this is, no, I've never thought about that. Have you ever meditated on or in any way the way math teaches us about God? This question was not on your pre-approved list. I came up with it an hour before we interviewed you, but I'm just wondering, I guess the basic question is, do you ever just step back and like stand in awe and be like, whoa? Because I do that like all the time.
Right. Like God made like an orderly world that like follows a pattern. So it's like underneath that, like, I don't know if this was God's intention, but it's like that follows a model. You know, I'm sure, you know, he knew that. Of course he did. But we figured it out, right? Like gravity and like
9.8 meters per second squared. I just learned that again this week.
That's like all physics, right? Is like figuring out, okay, how did God make this? Yeah, it is incredible. And it's like, it's not just physics, but like people at a stadium. Like that's also math. Like I've shown, you know, it's like, it can be applied to so many different things, not just science, but figuring that the application part is hard because it's like some people, me too, like my brain doesn't automatically think, oh yeah, those seats are all zeros and ones until I had to actually think about it. Right. Yeah, it is a beautiful thing that God made the world in a way like that.
And he made problems with solutions. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
He thought of it all.
Yeah.
We have some younger Lutheran ladies that listen, some teenagers. What would you say to younger Lutheran ladies who are, I don't know, maybe not totally thinking about college and jobs, but like thinking about the stuff that they're interested in? What would you say to them about problem solving and a field in STEM, the things that you get to do every day? What's exciting about it to you that you would share with some young Lutheran lady?
So like looking back on the way that my timeline, I see God's hand like through it all. Like even whenever I didn't understand, you know, something, it's like, oh, looking back, it's like, oh yeah, that was all God. So for me, it was like, I just felt a pull to like this field. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I just felt like this is what I'm supposed to do. I don't really know why yet. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And obviously I had no clue I was going to ever be using this for the youth gathering, or go back to the youth gathering. So yeah, just if God like puts something on your heart that is like, you know, pure and, you know, not sinful, then I don't know, pray about it. Like look into, you know, what can I do with this? And like, just let God lead you to where he wants you to be. Is kind of how I see it. Because I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, why did that happen? It's like, oh, God was planning this all out. And like we talked about vocation, like ultimately we are here to serve, and we all have our different vocations. And like right now, my vocation is different than whenever I was working full time at the insurance company. And I'm very thankful that I have that opportunity to work on these side projects like this. Yeah, so just like it's amazing, like looking back and being like, wow. God had like this whole plan for me to do this. And I had no clue, but it's just like even better than I ever imagined.
Did you even, when you were in high school thinking, I like math and boxes, were you even aware of the kinds of work and career opportunities that you've since discovered?
Absolutely not. No, I had no clue. And what's so funny is, so my high school did not really have a lot of computer classes. Didn't have a computer programming class at the time. I don't know if they do now, but there was like a computer class that we could take. And I was like, no, I don't want to take that. Like that we had even like computer class in like middle school. I hated it because it was like typing. And I'm just a person that I can't be told how to do something. Like I do like piano and stuff. I'm not good with that because I'm like, I need to do it the way that makes sense to me, typing wise. So like I wouldn't say I loved computers or anything, but then I got into the part of, oh, it's problem solving with computers. It's using a computer to problem solve. It's like a tool.
Yeah.
That was what was like, whoa, like this is powerful. And like it's using math and algorithms, like thinking through things to like do things efficiently.
It's just a different kind of problem solving.
Yes, it is.
Which is super cool.
So I guess the takeaway for me, and has been my experience as an adult as well, is that when you are in high school, you have this preconceived notion of a certain set of limited avenues in which you can apply your skills. Mm-hmm. But in reality, each one of those avenues branches off in 1,000 different directions that you can't even imagine until you're on one, and then you're just marveling at the path that's brought you there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, yeah, if you are in that position of a young woman who thinks math is kind of cool, even though you might be afraid to say it out loud, that know that there are so many ways for God to use that interest and that ability. You might even end up seating people at a giant youth gathering.
And it'll be very rewarding. Yes.
Yeah. I did not expect the conversation to go in this direction. I didn't know what I was getting into. Computer science is broad.
Very broad.
Very broad. And so
that is another thing for people who are going into the field is like, you will feel like a dummy. You know, you're like, oh, this person knows so much more than me. But it's like everybody has their thing that they know, and you will learn along the way. And like, I think people call it like imposter syndrome, you know, where it's like, I don't deserve to be here. It's like, if you were hired, you probably do. You know, you do belong there. I know I've dealt with it. It's like, wait a second, I don't know this, but it's like, you're not expected to know everything.
Right.
There's just way too much and things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
I only know about LLMs because I had to I gave a presentation on it last week. So I do a lot of.
This is why you know it.
Yeah. It's like, it's really fresh. But also in my last job, we were dealing with, LLMs all the time. So I had to learn, that's not something I learned in grad school. I learned models, but not specifically like large language models. So just continue learning in whatever you do. And then, be a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
All right. We will try not to be like that person who goes up to the first random doctor, like an orthopedic surgeon, and be like, hey, doc, I've got a tummy ache. Could you tell me what you think it is? Because it's different. I do, though, I know we've talked a lot about your work with the youth gathering, and I would love, before we close, to hear a little bit about the work you do with the LCMS Foundation and how you exercise your creativity in that role as well.
Yeah.
Sure. So I would say the biggest project that I've worked on at the LCMS Foundation was we have a lifetime plan for giving survey. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it, but it's essentially whenever someone is interested in setting up a lifetime plan for giving, whether that be like in their will, they filled out the survey, and it was formerly on paper and they wanted to move it online. And I was like, hey, I think I can do that. Yeah. And I never had made a website before in my life and learned, on my own. This was like 2020, like right during COVID, like beginning of COVID.
Beautiful.
So I had to completely learn on my own how to build a website along with some help with some other people, thankfully, in terms of like deploying it. Cause I was like, that's the part that I'm like, I don't know anything about that.
That's a different part.
That is different, much different. So I did have to make a website, have to think about user interface and like what is like a good design. That was something that was like, oh, this is hard. Like this requires a different kind of brain. Yeah. I'm like, I can do the back end just fine, but the front end, it's like you have to think about where are people going to look? Like, how do we make this flow?
That's the stuff I'm good at.
See, and that's what I needed. Thankfully, our marketing team did give some pointers, and we did have some like just standard like CSS like styles that we used. So I could stick with that. But it's like, where do I put this button? Yeah. Like, I know I need a button, but where do I put it that like makes sense to the user? But so that has been in use for years now. That was one reason I worked there while I was full-time is I would, if someone had an issue or they wanted a new feature on this website, I would add to it. So, but we are moving over. We are graduating that and moving on to a hosted one with our CRM. So hopefully it'll be a much better experience because someone who did not know what they were doing with the website set this up. I do know the back end. Like I know database stuff very well and like storing it, but in terms of the website, if they're like, oh, this is really annoying. I don't like how this works. It's like, I'm sorry, I did my best. So that was 2020. Now I would say I'm just kind of their go-to like data person. So if someone has like a database, like, hey, can you grab this or can you run this process? and just overall like software person. So
Yeah.
any project that they're like, oh, we need this done,
Mm-hmm.
usually that person. So it changes all the time. It really depends. You know, sometimes accounting needs me for something. Sometimes a different department will need me. Sometimes it's marketing. My job is not like steady there at all. It's like kind of more project based, especially since I am part-time right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, my days are filled. The way my days look are very different depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like just in that series of interesting and unrelated challenges, you get to exercise that creativity we've been talking about this whole time that, well, I'm not usually an accounting or marketing or fill in the blank expert, but I am today.
Yes. It does kind of feel like I have to wear, I'm an accountant today. Like I have to wear that hat.
Uh-huh.
It's like, okay, how would I think if I was an accountant? And you know, I think similarly to an accountant with the math background.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever there's like a design question, that's when I'm like, ooh, I have to use a different part of my brain about these things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I have one more AI question because we've talked about way like an hour ago, we were talking about AI and ChatGPT and like the weird answers we get on search engines. So how can we approach the AI that is out in the world that we just interact with because it's there on the internet? How do we do that wisely? And I don't know, be able to recognize the red flags of things that we should maybe have a little more curiosity about. How do we just like interact with it in a way that is helpful, I suppose?
Yeah. So I think as an adult, you know, we have the benefit of having experience and knowledge of being able to have our radar on of like, that's not right. We know, right? Like we can read something, even if we don't really know much about it, we might be able to say, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
So I would say like, if you're learning something brand new and you're working with AI, maybe fact check it with like some of the sources that because a lot of the times if you're using like Google, it'll like cite the source that it came from, and you can double check. AI is getting really good. So typically it knows what it's talking about. In most cases, if it's like broad enough, if you get like really specific, that's where like it can, you know, get weird.
Yeah.
But I worry about, you know, youth, like children who are just like asking AI things and taking it as, you know, truth.
Yeah.
And not questioning it. Because really it is just very, very smart parrot where it's just like it saying, this is what I'm supposed to say. It doesn't ever fact check before it spits out a word. It's just like, okay, based on how I've been trained, this is what I'm supposed to say. So I think understanding that they're not magic and approaching it with, this is a helpful tool that I use alongside my brain. Because that is something that I worry about for the future is like outsourcing their thinking and their creative or critical thinking.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it. If I ever want to turn off my brain, I'm like, I'll just ask AI. I'm like, why did I do that? Like I could have just, you know, thought of that myself. Definitely been guilty of that. And I'm trying to get better about that. Like thinking through like, okay, can I use my brain for this?
Yeah.
Do I need AI for this? Because I do see that being a big problem, especially like I know with the AI presentation I gave last week, it was with university people. So I had to talk about like academic integrity and things like that. And it does worry me a little bit that it will be abused and misused.
It's a tool, not a substitute for your own brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
it's
use
a
it.
Powerful tool.
Use it with suspicion, just like you would if you were listening to anybody talk to you. Don't assume they're right about everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess me being an editor, I sort of go into that. One of my early experiences in publishing was realizing that you cannot trust an author to know the title of his own book.
It's true.
He may be wrong. But when you realize, okay, even in that scenario, the author might mix up words in the title of his own book, well, then everybody needs to be fact checked. Everybody needs to be verified. And if your alarm bells are going off, that doesn't sound right, check into it, you know, and don't assume that just because it's some, as you say, magical, not actually magical, a computer program, that it's exempt from this state of mankind.
Yes.
Yeah. So very good advice.
Yeah, I like the idea of the ethical AI. Like I know like there's some companies that put that as like a value of theirs.
Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
Depends on the company.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
like I know like for example like X has like Grok. I've never used Grok, but I've heard that they're probably not as ethical as maybe like Anthropic, which has like the model Claude, because they allow Grok to be used for things that are very sinful. Let's just say like some things that you should not be using it for. They've like opened that door.
Yeah.
And I think having those guardrails of being like, we want to make this a safe model. But then at what point do you like, well, this is too much guardrail, too many guardrails.
Yeah.
Like, for example, at my old job, we worked with a lot of like accident descriptions. So like dealing with like what happened on the job to a person. It was workers' comp. I forgot to say that.
Yeah.
It was workers' comp. So sometimes it would get flagged by the AI. It's like, no, I can't answer that. This is too violent. And it's like, okay, so we had to like, somehow they had to turn off that guardrail.
Interesting.
Yeah. So just understanding that not all AI is created equal in terms of what it was trained on, how it was taught to behave. Yeah. Using your own brain and knowing that AI will never have the image of God in it. And that like, it can't.
Yeah.
So it might try, but it might sound spiritual and it might say things that are maybe theologically correct, but that's just because that's how I was trained. It's not actually, a human underneath there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a really good point. Because I think, I don't know, sometimes we talk about AI as if like it's all one big thing.
One entity.
And it's not at all. Like there's different ways that it's used and there's different models and there's different companies doing it in different ways and different uses. And like it is a huge thing, but it's also so widely varied and it can be used for good stuff, for figuring out problems and for helping me edit these episodes so they sound nice. Like I do use AI tools in the editing software that we have to make our episodes sound lovely, and it cuts out all the ums and uhs, so I don't have to. It's going to cut those out. So I don't spend.
Nobody's going to know what you said.
Nobody's going to know that they were there. So I don't spend like an hour just cutting those. Like I used to do that manually.
I remember.
It's hundreds of uhs and ums that I used to cut out by hand, and I don't have to do that anymore. So like there are helpful things, and there are also concerning things, and like AI videos and photos on social media. Like it makes me feel so gross inside when I'm on X and I see a cute little video of like puppies and humans, and then I watch it for about 30 seconds and I'm like, wait a second. This is fake.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
Yeah, you feel dirty. Yeah.
I feel so gross. Like, but that's not even real.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of AI. It's also not my background, like working in imaging and stuff.
Yeah. Like there's real videos that are just better because they're real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a creative on the front end, I can tell you that those are offensive. they are a sort of a parody of human creativity that is. I think we're probably right to be repulsed by that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, as long as people keep clicking and keep viewing and keep liking, they're going to keep making.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to end on that note. So anything else you'd like us to know about, I don't know, what you get to do? What do you love about what you get to do, I suppose?
I feel like, my whole life I've liked math and process things. And so it's like I finally get to like do that and make money also on the side, That's
which is an
plus.
important thing to do as an adult.
Yes. It's like, looking back, I might have been like maybe more nerdy, but it's like, okay, now it's like cool.
Yeah.
To do that. Like I feel like really rewarded that I'm able to do this for the youth gathering. Whenever like as a kid, you look at a matrix and you're like, when am I ever going to use that?
Yeah.
I was guilty of that. I was like, matrices are weird, like, and then, you take the class in college and you're still like, oh, when am I ever going to use this? And then I'm like, years later, it's like, oh, that's where. So it is like incredible that I get to do something that is like actually interesting to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would say just, God is just amazing with the way that it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Together.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's his hand in it all.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really fun having you on, Megan. Thanks for joining us.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Proving that math is indeed creative.
Yes.
Yes.
Ladies, we'd love to know your thoughts about creativity and whether you also like math and problem solving and putting boxes into boxes. I love putting boxes into boxes. It's packing a car for a vacation. It's like excellence when everything fits perfectly. We would love to know your thoughts, ladies. You can comment on this episode in our Facebook group, the Lutheran Ladies Lounge, on Facebook, or our Instagram page at Lutheran Ladies Lounge. You can find all of our episodes at kfuo.org/Lutheran Ladies Lounge, or on your favorite podcasting app, or on the KFUO radio app. You're listening to the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast. I'm Sarah.
I'm Erin.
And I'm Rachel.
Views and opinions expressed on the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast may not represent the official position of the management or ownership of KFUO Radio, the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. The Lutheran Ladies Lounge is produced by KFUO Radio and available at kfuo.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a review for us too. If you love the Lutheran Ladies Lounge podcast, consider financially supporting our producer, KFUO Radio, so we can keep doing what we do. Find out how at kfuo.org/give.
I'm wondering, why do you think so many people are reluctant to love math, especially women? And what would you say to, let's just say, hang on just a second.
That was really loud.
That was. Wow.
Trash truck. Hang on.
Does this happen every Thursday at, what is it?
It's
Whatever
It's
time
supposed to happen about 3 hours earlier than this. They're late today.
Running a little late today.
Oh dear. It must be bad.
I think she's shutting the window.
Probably.
I think she's like, I'm just going to close the window and wait. I'll open it up once they're gone.
Okay, goodbye, sweet breeze. They were taking their sweet time picking up all the neighbors' trash. Okay, back to my question. My question was, why do you think it is that so many women claim, I'm not going to say they really do, but claim to hate math?
Here is a question for you.
Okay.
I don't think it's AI, but maybe you know something about it because you seem to know computer stuff. What are passkeys? You know what passkeys are?
I think there are like some ways to get like logged in to
They are.
like authentication. Like it's like a.
This doesn't sound like you're an expert on
Aaron,
it.
I am no
Everyone's
expert in
using
security.
passkeys
No.
now, and it's really hard, and I don't understand them, and yet all the companies seem to want me to use a passkey.
So
It's like the next iteration of passwords.
Yeah,
Because passwords are
so
really ever secure.
it's instead of a password. Is that right?
It seems like it's instead of a password, but it seems like it's.
See, I don't know if I've ever used one.
Well, you will. Let me tell
I'm
you.
sure.
You won't have a choice.
Nah.
So I know.
Okay,
like,
sorry. Never mind.
In the realm of computer science, there are many giftednesses.
It is a big. Okay,
because
you're right.
lots of people are like, there's a lot of bad actors out there who want to like steal companies' data. And I know like we've said like for like any place I worked, it's like people are actively trying to like get our data. So
that's why I'm so good at phishing attacks.
Yes, they love that. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I know at Foundation, we have like Freddy the Fish that gets passed around if you're like the best fisher of the quarter.
Why don't I have?
We'll get you a fish, Aaron. We have a real fish in KFUO. We can just we can just give you our pass around the beta fish that lives at the other Sarah's desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real problem for companies having that extra layer. Just makes it harder for those bad.
I feel like with AI and with computer stuff in general, part of the challenge is that it keeps changing. It changes so quickly that companies are wanting, my sense is that passkeys are somehow supposed to make things more secure. That seems like the goal that everyone has. but they're rolling it out, and I don't understand how a passkey of 4 digits could be more secure than my like giant long random series of numbers and special characters and letters. How could that be more secure? So it's rolled out, and I have to just trust that it's more secure. All of these things, there's a lot out there. And so it's cool that you are at the forefront with AI.
Does it use like biometrics at all? Like your face?
Oh, please, no. That is so creepy.
Not clear on that.
As you can see, we are all old ladies and getting older by the day.
Yeah. Anyway, you're not old.
It's a puzzle to me, and I thought it might be related, but clearly
it's a different
field
thing.
of computer science is broad.
Very broad.
Very broad.